Hey everybody, Ed over at Team Aquascape. Hectic afternoon out here. We have our off-road forklift. We have our operator waiting on me right now. We're dropping in these massive basalt columns. And if you tuned in yesterday, hey O'Toole, what's going on, buddy? If you tuned in yesterday, you saw the excavation going in, and all the aqua blocks were being installed, and we finished that up today. So as you can see, we got all those aqua blocks in. We have 3,600 gallons in that reservoir. And if you remember yesterday, I'm gonna flip this around so you can see what's happening here. This was 4 feet deep. You could see that's been filled up with all of those aqua blocks. We have a recessed pocket over here in the middle, and the reason we did that is this is a 7-foot tall column of basalt. Basalt is a very dense volcanic rock, and it is core drilled out. I'm going to show you what this thing looks like if I could reach up here on top. So we're going to have water coming up out of that little that hole over there. Ryan right now is, hey Jared, what's going on? Ryan is going to glue up our a little whip of flexible PVC. So we have our pump vault in over on this side, so you can see down in here. So we have our pump vault right there. That's going all the way down to the bottom. This is 4 feet deep. The reason we did that is it's set below our frost line. So this technically can run 365 days a year if we want. I highly doubt that the Park District will do that. Over the top of this, and again, if you remember what I talked about yesterday, there is a grading stake right over here in this corner. We still have to put in 12 inches of material over this, along with a permeable paver system. So the water is going to come from our pump over here. It's going to recirculate out. It's going to come bubbling out the top, and then it's going to crash on down. Hey Seahawks, what's up? So what's going to happen is water is going to come bubbling out of there. So that's column number 1, and I'm going to show you those other columns real quick because we're getting ready to strap those things up and put them in. So let's take a walk over here and show you what those columns look like. You can see we kind of have a hectic job site. There's our machine that's setting them. The nice thing about that is it's able to extend out up to 30 feet. So here's these basalt columns, massive pieces of stone. Actually, this is a Ford F450, so a big truck. It is bottoming out right now with these big chunks of stone inside of here. Hey, what's going on? So I'm going to give you a little bit of a geology lesson here. So basalt rock, this is an igneous stone, so volcanic activity, very dense, and you can tell it's basalt by the colors. If you look at here, you're going to get some brown and grays. This is called a mafic stone, M-A-F-I-C. Mafic stone, that stands for magnesium and iron. So there's a high concentration of magnesium and iron in this, which gives this stone its density, makes it very heavy and dense. The other thing is, because it's volcanic, it's an extruded stone, so it comes bubbling out of the earth and it cools very quickly. So it has a really tight grain. You're not going to see a lot of crystals in this rock. The other thing that's interesting is you see these natural shapes. This is not split like this. These are just the natural shapes, and these things will literally grow in giant columns out of the earth. And these columns actually are formed because the igneous stone, the volcanic magma, actually cools very quickly and shrinks. And when it shrinks, it causes these cracks, and it creates these polygonal columns, basically. These things could be 50 or 100 feet tall. So when they mine them out of the ground, these are giant columns, and then they actually snap them off, and then we drill them out in order to get water coming out of them. So it's a really cool stone to work with. Very heavy, very dense. It does fracture. It fractures kind of erratically, so it's a little bit challenging to work with. So as you can see here, we're getting ready to strap this thing up. We have our strap right here, and we're going to lift that up. Hey guys, you want to bring the machine over and we'll show pulling that thing out of there? Are you pretty good over there, Ryan? All right, let's get the next one in. All right, so we'll show you how this straps up, and we'll drop in this next one. So we have to make sure that that's choked on there really nice and tight, because these things literally, that one that we set over there, the big tall one, that's literally as heavy as a car. So we're hanging a car basically from the forks of that thing to set it. All right, so he's gonna get it. Mark, make sure that that thing's nice and choked down tight. Yep, there you go. And then what you wanna do is how exactly I did it, wrap it from one fork, go to the other. And we're gonna lift this thing up and you can see firsthand. That one is gonna go in that far corner. So go, yeah, go just like that. Yeah, that's perfect. So you're gonna see firsthand how we get these things up there. And again, a little bit of a juggling act here to make all this stuff happen. But that's life of a pond guy. All right. Hey, Shaban, what's up? All right, so we got it. Watch out of there, Mark, when he's lifting up. Hold on a second. Choke that down a little bit tighter. Make sure, bring it down a little, Tim. Try to tighten that thing up a little bit more. Pull it this way a little if you can. Just so we can kind of cinch that a little bit. So we want to make sure that that thing is good and tight, because if that slips, it's going to do some serious damage, and that's the last thing we want to have happen. All right, let's try to do that. Let's try that, Mark. Go ahead, take her up. Keep her going, go nice and easy. That looks pretty good. Take it out a little bit. So we want to slide that way so that this rock is going to slide right up like that. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, you got it, straight up. We are good. So you can see how that holds. All right, Mark, hop down from there. I don't want anything to happen, even though I feel good about it. So that is a monster stone coming out. Beautiful rock, natural stone. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that machine, we're gonna bring it over there, drop it in place, and get our plumbing hooked up. So our goal today is to get these things in. Our machine operator unfortunately has to leave. So we're gonna try to get these things set real quick so we can get him out of here because it's gonna start getting expensive for us. So we got one more to set, the shorter one. That one there is about 5.5 feet tall, a little bit shorter than me, but that's a nice chunk of stone. Again, oh, she's slipping. You could also see it's got a cut right there. It just cut my strap. So that rock is like it's like obsidian almost. It's a form of obsidian. So it's just not quite as dense as that. But what it's doing, yeah, you can see that it kind of cut right there into that strap. And it's just a really sharp edge. All right, we'll bring it in. So he's got that little piece glued up over on this side. So now what we're gonna do is drop this other one. Let's take that gravel right there, spread it out. We want it to be 6 inches below this. So bring that gravel layer, take all of that right into here, and let's load that up so it's 6 inches below the top of that. Ryan, let's cut a chunk of this off. Probably, you know what, maybe like right over in here if you got a knife. Let's cut that thing off because we're gonna have to glue another chunk of it onto that. This also got a smash, I think it got run over or something. Be careful, that strap, just when he lifted it, kind of got a cut. I don't want anybody getting under that thing. This next one, we could glue that plumbing in after the fact. So you have the tape measure. So let's get a tape measure and measure down and make sure you're 6 inches below. We got to hit those elevations perfectly. So all of this stuff engineered out literally within an inch. So we got to make sure everything is hitting exactly where we need it. Yeah, it looks like you got to come up a little bit more. I think you're about 8 inches right now. So again, remember what we're doing here. We have a 30-foot by 30-foot rubber liner going through this whole thing. We have several layers of geotextile. We have a heavy duty one here. I mean, heavy, thick stuff. This is gonna form a protective base layer on the very bottom. And on top of that, we have our EPDM rubber liner. That's gonna hold the water in place, and we have a lighter layer of that same fabric over the top. What that's doing is it's increasing the load-bearing capacity of this rubber liner. It's making it stronger. It's also protecting it. So once we had that in place, we put all of those aqua blocks. So if you remember yesterday, these are those blocks over here. So we took all these big blocks and we set them all the way around that entire perimeter. We filled in around the outside edge with crushed stone. What that does is it puts all of this under compression. It locks it in nice and tight, and that gives this the strength. On top of that, we come in with a geogrid material. The geogrid, again, is going to increase the load-bearing capacity of the weight on top of here, and it's going to keep that gravel from going down into our blocks. Now, the gravel that we used here is what we call CA7. This is a 3/4 inch open graded gravel. It means there's no fines inside of it. The reason why we have that is because we don't want we want water to flow through it unobstructed. So we're gonna have a nice flow rate of water going through this entire thing. So patio's gonna be here, water's gonna trickle down through all that gravel, go down into our blocks, and then from there it makes its way over into our plumbing cavity here, into our pump vault. We're gonna have one big pump, and we're gonna split it into 3 separate pieces. I would bring more gravel over in here. We want to fill this entire cavity. Now that that's glued up, let's load that entire thing. Make sure we get gravel underneath that fitting, because we don't want that to have any problems at all. So we got to make sure that that's good and locked in place. So fill this whole thing in, and let's get him set in here real quick. So let's start shoveling that stuff in. All right, is that at the right elevation? Was that 6 inches here? Okay. So let's fill this in real quick over here, and then we'll start bringing him in. All right, well, I apologize for the long video here, everybody, but real world stuff. Everything's happening at once, and now because I'm videotaping here, because you're watching me, I'm not actually out there shoveling any of the gravel or moving any of that stuff in place. So we're trying to get all that stuff ready. Again, I don't want to hold up that machine operator any longer than necessary. So what we're going to try to do, as you can see, is finish up with that gravel, bring in that big column, put it in position very, very carefully, make sure it's good and upright, lock it all in place with that open graded gravel, and then we'll strap up that next basalt column so we can wrap this thing up. All right, how are we looking? We about 6 inches? All right, once we're at 6 inches, let's start bringing him in. If you're close. Let's bring it in. All right, let's try to get that thing. We want to get it, I would say, pretty close to this guy. I mean, literally, boom, right next to that thing. Yeah, we want that water bouncing off all that stuff. I also don't want any kids getting in there and messing up with stuff. Make sure that plumbing hole is exactly how it is, so it's coming towards this back end. So let's get that face right up against this guy. So drop that bottom right there. Sorry, everybody, for my erratic video behavior here. Hey, Kadu, what's going on? So we're just going to try to set this all this stuff up. So we want to get that bottom right up against next to that other thing. So little negotiations with our operator. This is a good machine for this. It's not a perfect machine. It's good. So we have to adapt, our installation strategy. The nice thing about it is he could extend out. It's nice and safe. It's also very stable. Now what these guys got to do is also be very careful. You see how both of them are standing on the opposite side of the way that thing is leaning, because if that strap goes, it's going to crush somebody. So we got to be real careful. Make sure scrape off some of that gravel at the very, very bottom. Hold up before he goes any further. Scrape that gravel off, because otherwise it won't fit in there. Yep. Make sure that that's level right in there. Yep. Make sure it's level. Don't make a pocket. Yep. There you go. It away, it's okay. Don't want it to push that thing over. So he should probably come out just a little bit, Tim. Give me an inch or two. Right about there. I think that's good. Let's start bringing it down. Could you come a little bit?
I can push it.
That way? There you go. Keep it coming. A little bit more. Right about there. Take it out a little bit. Give me another two. Oh, start coming down. Turn that angle here, guys, so it's matching up. There we go, right there, right there. Start dropping it down, and that should. Now you're gonna have to go out with it. So, oh. Back it up, lift it up. So you're gonna have to hold that thing on the bottom when he does that. Take it to you. Oh. Bring it down. It's a little bit far. Lift it up.
That should be good.
Yeah, that angle's not good. Twist it right there. Oh, right there. All right, have him drop it down. Okay, keep going, drop it down. And then you guys start pushing that a little bit. He's gonna come out, there we go. Now we got it, That's exactly what we needed. It's a little bit far away, but it's okay. I'm good with that. All right, hold up. All right, everybody. Unfortunately, I gotta wrap this up right now because we gotta get this thing in. They're struggling. There's only 2 of them down there in that hole. I don't want to cause any problems. So hey, I appreciate everybody for watching. You guys are great. Tune in next time. Unfortunately, it's going to be a couple weeks until we get this thing running. You will see what this looks like, and it's awesome. This entire property is just going to be killer. Check out all this stuff, all new playground equipment and everything. But we got to call it the day. I got to get these rocks in. So have a good one. We'll see you soon.